He was chairman of the Grassroots Midwest Bipartisan Campaign and Advocacy firm. Former director of the Michigan House Republican Campaign Committee. 20 years of campaign and legislative experience. Political director for the Secretary of State and involved in the Michigan Bankers PAC. Served on the 4th Congressional Executive Committee. He holds a bachelor's degree in political science, history, and military science, along with a graduate work in defense and strategic studies. Also, I believe he's president of the Pheasants Forever. Is that
statewide, Joe.
Okay, statewide. And Pheasants Forever, you can probably comment on that, but I believe it's a program to try to preserve wildlife and grow Michigan outdoors men and women. So with that, Dan?
Well, thank you. Thank you. I also have Jeremy with me, who, like you said, he's the chair of the county commission. And Brian called me, our sheriff called me. We were texting earlier this morning. He asked about lunch, and I said, come along with me to Durand. We're giving a report on the county and what's going on. So, obviously, you guys want to know about Project Tim, but before we kind of even start that discussion, Jeremy and I kind of wanted to just kind of give you an overview, kind of the transition, the change that the county has right now with the Board of Commissioners. A little under a year ago, a new board was sworn in. We have 4 new commissioners that have never served out of 7, and then we have the three that were returning. So, kind of a new board. In my experience, and what I've heard from others, it's probably one of the better boards we've had in the last 20, 30 years. We do have our differences every now and then, but a lot of progress has been made working with the departments, working with the Sheriff's Department, working on some budget issues, kind of turning around the financial situation of the county, looking at economic development, working with businesses that are trying to come in, not just Project Tim, but there's been a lot of others, smaller businesses that have come in that have had problems with zoning or permits that we've had to work through. So a lot. I mean, we're 10 months into it. There's been a lot of change. So I'm just going to kind of run through a couple projects that we know about. When you talk about Project Tim, you can ask Jeremy and I questions about the county. He is under a confidential, sworn, non-disclosure agreement. I am not. I've been in a lot of meetings. I know a lot about the project, but in respect to that non-disclosure and, like you said, your event coming up, there's some things we can talk about vaguely. There's been a lot of misinformation out in the public and in the media. Maybe we can clear some of that up. And then hopefully there'll be enough time, maybe Brian can give a short report of everything he's done in the department, which has been substantial. Of all the departments in our county, we've seen the biggest change in the Sheriff's Department in the last 10 months. Change for the better. So some of the projects, things that are going on, windmills, obviously for you guys down here in the southern part of the county, it's not that big of a deal. The projects are up in the northeast in the New Lothrop area, and then the northwest up by Elsie. Up in the northwest in the Elsie area, which would be, I should say just Elsie, but it's part of Owasso Township, it's part of Ovid, part of Henderson. Apex is the name of the company that's been out signing leases. They have been absent for the last probably 4 months. We believe that they have kind of quietly packed up their bags and are just kind of waiting and have gone elsewhere. I believe they're in Isabella County now working on a project. The project in the northeast is Detroit Energy and their subsidiary, and I know they're out trying to get options and talk to people about windmills. From a county perspective, we've been working on redoing our zoning, our ordinances on wind energy. We started that in January. We voted a year moratorium that no permitting would start, no construction, nothing can start. We have to wait a year to get our zoning in place. Last week we just voted to extend that another 6 months, so we're looking at June of 2018 because we're not going to have our zoning in place right now. Some plans have been submitted out to the townships for their comment. I know Vernon Township, a couple weeks ago, you guys reviewed it.
It got approved
Yep,
by the
yep.
planning commission. It was just like a no-go. I mean,
Yep.
it was just like, what's wrong with it?
Yep. And there's some townships that are like that, and there's some townships that have different ideas, but we're waiting for that. I think we have input from half the townships. That's coming in, the planning commission, come up with their ordinances, comes up to the county commission, we'll review it, send it back down, make changes to it. It may go back and forth a couple times. So we're ways away from even having the zoning in place, like I said, June of 2018. Proline, I don't know how many of you have heard of Proline. There's a gravel pit over in Woodhull Township where a company takes the line from city water treatment facilities, dries it out into a powder, the wet sludge basically into a powder, and then distributes it to farmers to put on their fields. In Michigan, there is no production facility that makes pelletized lime, and that's what they wanted to transition to. Right now, if you're a farmer, you want pelletized lime, you got to get it out of Ohio or Indiana. So now in our county, after months and months and months, and then a filing of a lawsuit and an agreement with the board, the construction is going to start. We had a groundbreaking out there maybe about a month ago. They're going to build a facility to pelletize lime. First phase is going to be for farmers. Second phase, maybe down the road, will be bagged for commercial use to sell in stores or for individuals. They will have 3 shifts, 10 men on each shift, so it's 30 jobs, and $40,000 to $60,000 is the pay range that they're going to be looking at. So a small number of jobs, but some high quality paying jobs.
The first.
What's that?
It's the first in Michigan too.
Yeah, that'll be the first and only pelletized lime plant in Michigan. And it's right, just so you guys know, it's right off of Woodbury Road exit I-69 on the Beard Road. It's probably no more than, the entrance is probably no more than 400 meters from the interstate. There's a cargo plant, many of you have heard of it, that's going into Wausau. That's more of a city issue, but that's more economic growth, more jobs. It helps the railroad business for Great Lakes Central. Solar, there's 4 to 5 companies that are looking at solar projects here in the county. Those will probably be in the southern part of the county. Those are less intrusive, I guess, to neighbors than what windmills are. The panels aren't all that high. Obviously, there's rules or zoning about having glare or whatever that, you know, so it won't come onto your land or it won't come onto a road. A little easier to control solar. So we're going to look at the zoning on that. I know just in the last 2 weeks we've had 2 new companies who have inquired about what our zoning is and are looking at projects. Those tend to be projects where they look for one farm, 400 to 500 acre farm, and sometimes they buy the farm, sometimes they lease the farm for 20 years or 50 years. County, do you want to speak about the budget, where we are, the new budget coming up?
Sure. Right now we're on track. We're doing well. You know, for the last 3 years, this is my 3rd year on the Board of Commissioners. We've committed, I think, through past boards, and then even stronger with this board, is that to our financial responsibilities, making sure that we're budgeting smart, making sure that we're spending money in the right areas, and not so much robbing our delinquent tax revolving fund. So over the 3 years, you know, before I got on the board, we were covering our budget at about 1.2 million to cover up our losses, and then slowly it's gone to about 500,000 my first year on. This last year was about 225,000, and right now we're hoping to be on track for less than that, you know, to continue that 50% of what we're using out of the delinquent tax, but hopefully we'll be out of that completely in the next year or so. But the budget's been good. Like I said, it's been smart budgeting. It's taken a lot to get some of our deputies back on the road, but move some things in the right areas. We've made some savings on our phone systems. You know, our phone system was something that, you know, you don't really think of it as a big issue, and it's not very flashy, but, you know, our phones hadn't been replaced since '88, so we replaced them, and we're already seeing cost savings per month of $15,000 per month. So $130,000 initially to start up looks like a big cost, but, you know, that'll pay for itself in less than a year. So that's another thing that's just been good. That's what we're trying to do, and changing things over and bringing in new technologies. You know, our finance department was another thing that was created. For years, it's been done under the clerk's office, but through the Board of Commissioners, their role and their responsibilities, the budget, the finances, and the money of the county. So for us to have better oversight and a better understanding of what's going on and have that more accurate totals and know what's going on day to day, we decided to open up a finance department. We switched to a new payroll software system. We have a better handle on our accounts payable now, what's coming in, what's going out. We have a better handle on as far as reclassifications, wages, benefits, retirement. And so far that's been going smoothly. We only began that this year in July, as July 3rd this year. So it's been going well right now, and we just continue to build on that. But there's been a lot going on, but I think most of it's been smart in what we've done. We're trying to keep what we can, and
The hiring freeze still remains in place, so anytime a department wants to hire somebody new, that's come before the board, we've been sticking to that. We have a wage study that's being done right now. Last wage study was done over 20 years ago. What was that, 93? Also, the 911 dispatch center, which is kind of Ryan's wheelhouse, but as many of you know, there's the American Red Cross building's being converted to a dispatch center. When the new board took office, we weren't all, because a lot of us didn't vote on it, we didn't buy the building, we were kind of unsure about the whole project, and so we've had a lot of oversight. We've scaled down some of the spending, actually quite a bit. Parents, our general contractor, and they've worked with us very well to reduce some of the costs or to spread some of the costs out over a couple of years. So we have that probably be going online after the first of the year. There's been some construction delays, some equipment delays in getting some of the stuff here. So you'll probably be reading about that in the paper after the first of the year when we have that grand opening. So Brian, if you want like 5-10 minutes of what's going on, morale improvement, budget and all that stuff.
First of all, thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite, Commissioner. Truly, there's so much going on at the Sheriff's Department that I could use the entire meeting just to touch on some of the things that we've done so far this year. But I think it's noteworthy to mention how nice it is to work with this Board of Commissioners. They have the same resolve and commitment to make this community better, and there's no more pounding your fist on the desk, so to speak, to try to accomplish something. We brought back the philosophy that, good relations accomplish more, and let's pull up a chair and let's get things done. And I think that's really proved to be true here in the last 10 months when you consider everything that we've accomplished. Just a couple new things. Like I said, I could go back, but I know you guys read the paper, so some of it you may be familiar with. But we created the Friend of the Court. First, let me mention, as your sheriff, I'm not for sure you even know what my duties are. Constitutionally, is to maintain the jail and to do civil process. But in addition to that, obviously, I run the road patrol, oversee central dispatch, animal control, court security, and most recently, the County Board of Commissioners asked if I would take over the Emergency Management Division, which I agreed to do, and we were able to hire probably one of the most experienced emergency managers in the state. He's truly is like the godfather of emergency management, and we're so fortunate to have him. And my expectations of what we can accomplish is great. In fact, one of my greatest things that I wanted to see through was a countywide emergency response plan. In other words, if there was an incident, whether it be at a factory or school or something like that, that all the police, fire, and ambulance were working together. Not to say that we're not trained to go in and handle the situation, but we need to coordinate that. And it takes a special person to make that coordination work, because you really have no authority to do so. You have to have the ability to kind of break the ice and get those departments working together and agreeing on how we should do things. And so that's what we're in the process of. We just started. We have some training actually coming up Thursday for response to active shooter. But we're working, first of all, with Lanesburg High School. That's the only school that's outside a city or village right now, and that is my main responsibility as far as security. So there's no more drawing lines in the sand. I've deputized every police chief in the county. Lanesburg chief is able to respond to the Lanesburg High School and take care of matters with full jurisdiction. But we are working with Lanesburg High School, and we want to develop that plan and then bring it on to other schools throughout the county, so we can, you know, keep our children safe. Friend of the court position, the County Board of Commissioners worked close to me on that. There was, friend of the court was not meeting the money that was being brought in to get the state revenue, and so we brought in and assigned a deputy to it. And to this date, that deputy has either arrested, brought before the judge, or lodged people who owe over $2 million worth of back child support, and that is in a short amount of time. So it's the program has been incredible. Now I see that there's other people reaching out to me wanting to know if they could also employ our deputies to improve some things that they have going on. So Central Dispatch, I know the commissioner started to touch on that. We were originally planning on the center be opened in November, but I think being fiscally responsible, we made a decision. Instead of bringing in some of the old equipment that wasn't budgeted for, let's hold off, let's slow down, let's wait till the new equipment, the new councils come in, and then we're going to pay a one-time fee to get that stuff up and running. The next-gen system that the building was actually built for is not in. There's some equipment that is not in right now. So our dispatch center is up and running, but if you guys have ever been in the Sheriff's Department, the one thing that you will see is that every inch of that building is occupied, and that could bring you to a whole nother level. I think you might have seen some of the building improvements we've done. I want to stress that that's all cosmetic. There's a new sense of pride around the department, but that building is outdated. It's exceeded its use, and we keep you know, doing what we have to do and what we must do to make it work. But I could take you through and I could show you from one end of the building to the other on a daily basis the opposition we face to do our jobs there, whether it's interviewing criminals, to security, to you name it, the efficiency of the heating and cooling. You know, oftentimes the cells are down. Again, been working close with the county commissioners. Buildings and grounds spending 60% of their time in our building alone to keep the jail functional. And of course, that those other county buildings are not getting, they're getting neglected from not getting the attention that they may need too. So, court security, we just finished up with our double murder trial. We provided extra security to the courts to ensure that we didn't have any incidents. Obviously, that was my main priority. We had to scale back from the road patrol during the day shift. In fact, sometimes we didn't have a day shift road patrol because of that security. But we're going to be going back there now. Put the first night shift out in 3 years, again, working with the County Board of Commissioners. We brought the K9 dog back that was taken out of service, so he's been restored and he is assigned to nights, and he is fighting the war on heroin, if you will, because if you don't know it already or haven't heard, we have a huge heroin epidemic in this county. My guys are already recovering heroin off the streets laced with fentanyl, and that is very deadly. Not as deadly as some of the other fentanyls, carfentanyls, but it's deadly, and it's killing people here in this county. And Commissioner Root, he came and rode with me a couple weeks ago. We were out about 4 o'clock in the morning just to give him a little experience of what our deputies are out there doing, but we recovered a man who was delivering cocaine to a residence in Morris, and got a stolen loaded handgun out of the car, and caught some kids that were out drinking beer. And so I think that was kind of a helpful eye-opener on his part to know that even here in Shiawassee County, what's going on at night. Some people think the road patrol has been restored 24 hours a day at night. No, it hasn't. Just that everybody understand, we're out there at night, but it's only on one rotation. That's all we have enough money or manpower for. But it's a start that, you know, we're trying to build back. So, animal control, they're always busy. We've extended animal control into all the villages and cities. You might have heard about that. He recently rescued about 6 Belgian draft horses that were malnutritioned and not being cared for properly. This is just, like I said, just touching the tip of the iceberg. I could go, and I will if you want me to, but come back. We're happy to come back and tell you more about what we're doing. So, does anybody have any questions in regards to the Sheriff's Office or what we're doing?
Who has the dog? Who has the dog?
Who is our K9 officer?
Yes.
Deputy Sean Gifford comes to us with 10 years experience. He was a former police officer for the city of Perry, and Our undersheriff, Robert Branshaw, who you may know, is a McMaster canine dog handler. He has been since when he came from Birch Run, so I think he was a good judge of character as far as whether we wanted Sean, and we did. He has what it takes. His dog's out there working, and with the guidance of the undersheriff, it's going to hopefully be one of the best dogs around.
Now, did the dog come with him?
Yes.
Or- okay.
Yep, the dog was purchased actually through a grant, through emergency management, so we were able to obtain that dog because it didn't actually cost the city of Perry money for the purchase of the dog. It did, however, have hundreds and hundreds of hours of training. So, and we assured the city of Perry, because we have a good relationship with all the police chiefs and cities and villages now, that, you know, of course, this dog will be utilized whenever you need it. So if you need to call the dog out, we can do that. So they may have lost it from the city of Perry, but us gaining it at the sheriff's department just offered it to a broader area.
One of the things Brian touched on briefly a little bit is the jail, the sheriff's office. Obviously it's a concern for law enforcement. There's safety, security issues. From a financial standpoint, we're really looking at how much maintenance, the cost of that, having maintenance people over there 60% of their staff time spent over there. There's legal issues that the county could be liable for down the road. So the sheriff and I, a couple others, have started going around, checking out some new builds, kind of getting some ideas of what cost would be. There's several different options. I'm not saying you're going to see a millage in 6 months. We're talking several years down the road. Maybe after Project Tim gets going and some of this other stuff, there'll be more finances in the county. But I mean, that's probably it's on the horizon. I mean, there is a legitimate need. Depending on the day, where we could be overpopulation. The sheriff's been renting out beds to make money, to help financially. But that's something that maybe that could be a future topic down the road, where the sheriff could come in and kind of talk about the real specifics about the jail. But we actually have somebody in right now doing an energy audit, looking at how inefficient is the heating, how inefficient is the cooling, and the water and all that stuff.
And we know it's bad. When I had 3 cells, we were having to physically remove 30 inmates out of a cell because we can't bring the temperature up above 55, or
the plumbing's clogged,
water's leaking across the floor and things like that. And I offered walkthroughs to all the mayors in the counties, and I've seen it firsthand as the county board of commissioners took their time to walk through and see what it's like. So it's in deteriorating condition, to say the least. But we are currently Thursday. In fact, they're coming back in to finish that audit. So.
Brian, could you also tell us about the issue of having the trustees going out and doing community work?
Yeah, that's a new program we started, and it's only if I have enough deputies on the ship which are able to take out the trustees. But they're minimum security. They could be your drunk drivers or your friend of the court or things like that. So we do screen them to make sure that they're safe to be out in the community. It's something that they enjoy, gets them out of their jail cell for the day. But they've been performing, painting at churches, working down at the Perry Township Hall with the ceiling tiles. Woodhull Township put a request in for them, Venice Township Fire. City of Shiawassee, they cleaned up the amphitheater. They've done raking at the cemeteries. They helped the city of Durand with some landscaping. So there's a pretty broad range. They've been working all over, and it's really exploded where now people are actually having to get on a waiting list for me to try to keep up with that. So, but it's very, very well received, and I'm happy to provide that as long as I have the resources to do it. So.
Okay, so I guess now we talk about Project 10. I guess I'll start, and I mean, obviously you guys know quite a bit about it, or what you've heard, but let me just start with, and I know everybody's on edge. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's reasons for that. This business coming in, there's a lot of stuff that has to kind of be put in place, and I've been to some of the local government meetings, and I've talked to people, and everybody wants to know why there's no environmental study that's been done yet, or why, permitting process or a town hall hearing, and I reiterated this the other night on the television. Everyone kind of needs to be patient. We're in the initial stages. as I explained to somebody at Vernon Township meeting the other night, you see a house that you want to buy it, you don't go tear up the lawn and reseed it before you've talked to the bank and gotten approval on a finance loan for it. We are in the early stages, or should I say project's in its early stages of securing the land, of securing some loan financing through the federal government. Once that happens, which could be a week, it could be after the first of the year, there'll probably be or there will be a press conference that will be held where the name of the company will be released, what's going to be made, what the plans are, and all that stuff. Like I said, there's been a lot of misinformation. Most of you know what the footprint is. Most of you here probably know the history and why it's coming to Durand, or why Durand was chosen as a possible selection site, because of the railroads, because of the interstate, because of the land that the chamber had just north of town here, butts up to the city. And then you have a lot of farmland that's in that footprint. So with that, I mean, I guess if you guys want to fire up some questions, or try to answer what we can, or what we know, or what we think. So.
I guess some of the rumors are that they've changed a little bit of the footprint and moved to the
Okay,
other side of the
so
footprint.
part of this is the initial, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Jeremy, the initial footprint was going to be this side of I-69, east of Durand Road, north of M71 or Lansing Highway there, and then it was questionable how far east it was going to go. There was a landowner that was holding out, and I'm not sure, I've heard that he has agreed, and I've also heard that he's still holding out. Other plans were made to have the footprint go north of 69, so they went north, and there were some farmers up to the north that agreed to sell their land, or do options on it. So you could have a footprint that is all contained south of the highway, or there may be a footprint that goes north of the highway, which would mean the highway would either go over, under, or around, potentially. The project's working with MDOT and U.S. Department of Transportation about exits, and so the plan is there will be an exit, so your traffic on 13 isn't backed up, and your traffic at out on the west end of your main strip there isn't clogged up. So basically, so semi trucks and traffic can get in and out without disturbing the normal traffic and infrastructure.
So are they going all, I mean, I've heard too that they've got options signed all the way down, almost to 13. So,
I know it goes east. I have heard that it's not true that it goes all the way to 13 or close to 13. I mean, we're looking at, like 1,400 acres, is that?
A little more than that right now. I think they're not extending too far past Brown Road.
Okay, Brown Road's the boundary.
yeah, that's what I thought, but.
So, I will tell you, the offers that have been given to the landowners are definitely fair. I know one of my sons has a friend that his family has a house in that footprint, and compared to what they paid for their land and their home and what they're being offered, they're thrilled. There aren't that many houses that are in the footprint. Most of it is either the vacant land north of town or the farmland.
I want the houses.
So, I mean, obviously you've heard a lot of numbers thrown out. First phase would be 850 jobs. When they get through the different phases, which means improvements within the footprint, you're looking at 1,450, maybe 1,500 jobs. You're looking at $50,000 and higher salary positions. Construction. Most of the construction, the workforce, they believe, can come within 90 miles from here. We have enough experience and talent. I've seen some people will come from out of state, some of the supervisors, some of the engineers, architects, but they believe the workforce is all going to be from locally, somewhat locally here. 14.5 million work hours for construction. If you guys can kind of grasp around that, there's not enough. Not everyone's going to move here, either when they're in construction or during operations. Some people will. Some people will live in Genesee, Drive, or Saginaw, Ingham, Livingston. Obviously, for the housing industry, especially over here, your property values are gonna go through the roof, because there's, for construction and for operation, there's not enough housing here in the county. We do not have a workforce that is big enough, that's available to go work there just in our county, so it'll be drawing operational employees will be coming from that, you know, several counties away. Obviously some individuals that are employed here in Shiawassee County that go work there, then their jobs will become vacant, so then that means other people in Shiawassee will fill those slots, or other people will move in to fill those jobs. From groundbreaking, we're looking at 5 years probably to have it completely operational for the end of phase 1. Obviously it's going to be a big financial benefit to our railroads we have here that coming in and out of here. There's real estate market, there's agricultural spill out, agriculture, farmers are going to be able to sell some biofuels to this facility. I know some people are sensitive because it's here in your neighborhood, and Durand is not going to be the Durand that it's been in 20, 30, 40 years. You're going to see a huge growth over here. But if you think regionally or statewide, this $6 billion project, when you feed it through the federal government formula for jobs, it's 850,000 jobs that it creates. If you believe in federal figures and statistics, when you invest in a project, how the money how it trickles down into the building of the facility, the people that work there, the people that spend money, the people that buy houses and everything, creates 850,000 jobs in this region, in this area. So.
You know, at this point, what kind of skill set that the employees are going to have? I mean, is
There's, I would say, knowing the different, you can imagine this place would be like a small city or village. So you'll have anything from individuals that have to be trained, because it'll probably have its own fire department, it'll have its own security, policing kind of department. You'll have maintenance, and then you're gonna have some laborers. Probably you're gonna need more than just a high school degree. You're probably gonna have to have some kind of vocational, maybe a 2-year, 4-year, whether it's out of Baker or out of Mott or whatever, and all the way up to engineering degrees. Which, you know, this is interesting. My son's a junior, and in 5 years, hopefully he'll be graduating from Kettering or U of M. I don't know if he wants to stay here and maybe live with Cloyce and work at Project Tim. He kind of has some other ideas what he wants to do, but I mean, it's a possibility. You know, our county's not hiring a lot of individuals with engineering degrees or graduate, postgraduate degrees. We talk about our kids, our grandkids, you know, everyone's going away, nobody's staying here. Here's an opportunity for some folks, for their kids or grandkids to stay here. But I would say there probably will be some jobs if you just come out of high school, but there are going to be some that are going to be requiring engineering degrees or vocational training in plumbing and electrical and all that. So
I know when they had the first meeting that I was at, they were talking that they were going to be working with Baker College and stuff.
I can tell you there are several colleges and universities that are chomping at the bit to have access to individuals at Project Tim to start trying to figure out, okay, well, what specific jobs, what do you need kids being pumped out of our institution in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years? What specific trades are they going to need or skills? And I think more of that will be when they have the big press conference announcement. More of this will be open, but I know Baker, I know Mott, and I know some other schools have expressed interest.
And Michigan Works.
Michigan Works, which we've had some meetings. I sit on the Michigan Works board, which our region is from here basically to Port Huron up into the Thumb, and you know their job is to place people. unemployment office, but they're the Michigan's Human Resources Office, and they're looking at, they want to know, what do you need? Do you need people who have some skills? Do you need, do you need engineers? Do you need plumbers? Do you need firefighters? What exactly are you going to need? And that'll be coming. So, yeah. Other questions? Come on, you guys have to have questions.
What's the question?
But I talked to him on the phone for a couple hours. I think we're there's a lot of people that, it isn't like, just so if this makes you feel better, it isn't like anybody from Durand went out and approached Project Tim. It isn't like anyone from the county went out and approached. It was the other way around. They were looking for places, areas in the state. They really couldn't find what they were looking for, and then somebody mentioned this parcel of land or this footprint, which, I mean, if you think about it, you have all the rail lines, you have the interstates, you have the land that the chamber spent however many decades with buying and getting, so something could come in. Of course, nobody envisioned the world's largest plant, bigger than the Rouge, coming into Durand. I mean, I don't think anybody, whether it was Leonard Krawcheck or Mr. Anderson or Cloyce, when you guys are selling your tickets, I don't think anyone had a vision of a facility that big. I don't think anybody, any local government, when they do their master plan, nobody can say, okay, yeah, we're going to plan to have the world's largest whatever, and it's going to go here. I mean, it's just kind of worked out that way. I've done research on the owner. I said I'm not going to disclose his name or anything, but yeah, everyone has environmental concerns. This guy's a conservationist, hunter. He wants minimal impact on the environment. There's a lot of concerns about what if this project fails. Well, not that a company can be too big to fail, but if this company comes in here and it fails, then our country as a whole is going to have really big issues because of the different industries that this place is going to feed into. So,
Is this still a private company, or is this?
As of right now, yes. It's a private company.
so like a private, what do you call it, like an investment group? Is that what?
As of right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're forming a board, and I think they're getting ready, but they're still taking their time with everything as well.
One of the things that Dan and I talked about, and I feel that the state of Michigan has made a terrible, terrible mistake on the windmills. We're surrounded by water, and those windmills should be in that water around the state of Michigan. They shouldn't be on land. And I don't know, Dan and I talked about it, but I feel the state of Michigan has really dropped. The DEQ and the governor have really dropped the ball on windmills.
It's interesting when we first took office in January, or even prior to that, windmills, that's all we were hearing, it's all we were getting calls about, and it was going to be the savior for the county and all this money. Of course, that kind of quickly shifted because you have this project going in here. I will tell you with the windmills, a lot of times these companies, if they can get into an area where the zoning isn't like it should be, and then you do quick construction, quick approval, this is not. I was told by one company they could live with a 6-month moratorium. This was back in the winter when we were voting on it. Well, we voted for a year. Now we've extended a year and a half. And like I said, I don't even see them now. That doesn't mean they aren't going to come back. But I know this company wanted 600-foot windmills. Industry standard is anywhere from 400 to 450 foot, which is probably close to what we're gonna end up adopting. So, some of these wind companies may not, they may go elsewhere. Also, these are very, after I say these are very small projects, and even though the Michigan legislature has voted on this and mandated that certain percentage of energy in Michigan must come from solar and wind, there's larger chunks of land elsewhere where their time might be better spent because it's such a small, and we're looking at, I think up in the Northwest, if there's 600 footers, I it's like 28 windmills or 35 windmills. If it's 400, 450 footers, they're looking at like 60, I think, which we all think is a lot, but when you look at large wind farm projects, it's not that much, so.
Can I just ask a question about the windmill?
Yeah.
In my office, I got a lot of mail against them, and I'm gonna assume everybody got that mail.
We get, I mean, we get letters to the chambers that we've photocopied and we have in a 3-ring binder. You're hearing from, you know, some are people that may not have the whole story. Some people have been educated and they have their opinion. People you're not hearing from are the landowners
Exactly.
who are all kind of being quiet because they don't want to take the heat from their neighbors. But there are some landowners in the northeast and the northwest that would receive a large amount of money, which then feeds down into, for tax money, into schools and into the townships, into the county and stuff.
I know what irritated us, that we got mail against the wind farms from people in Traverse City.
Yeah.
Exactly, what does their opinion affect me?
There's a
I just
guy in Michigan, I can't think of his name right now, but he's been here. He's been to some of the hearings. He says he's a volunteer, but truth be told, he's being paid by environmentalists, and he goes around and stirs up people. And he will coordinate people from up north to come down here to testify or to send letters or to, you know. And I believe he was successful stopping one wind project in Lenawee County or Hills, someplace in the south by the border. And from that, he's went on and tried to help other people, which is, I mean, like anything, you're gonna have misinformation from both sides, and that's kind of what you're getting.
I know, because when I handed that letter out to our board members and also planning commission, they just looked at the return address and said, what do they have to do with anything here? Yeah, they just kind of dished it.
Unless it was an absentee landlord where they own a plot of land or something here, but.
Well, yeah, but it was like, no, I mean, it was, and they thought some of those were ridiculous. If you went with them, we wouldn't have any money farms, you know, the setbacks and that.
Yeah, so, like I said, we're in the process of redoing our zoning. So, I mean, the wind stuff's kind of on hold, and the project Tim is, like I said, it could be next week, it could be after the first of the year when all of a sudden there's a big press conference and everything's announced. And once that happens, the permitting starts, the town hall meetings start, all that stuff.
Now, the solar, is that ordinance okay?
We need to look at that. We had discussions at our commission meeting, was it last week, or 2 weeks ago? And that's, I mean, solar's a little different than,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't see solar, unless you're up on a hill, you're not gonna see it. You could be next to a solar farm and not even see it, you know, through a tree line or something, so.
Just curiosity, yeah.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank you.